just when you think Maul was done, they keep pulling him back in. And this is the case for either the Mandalorian movie or Ahsoka Season 2. It's gonna happen, and let me show you how. So let's start with what's gonna happen, and I think a lot of people are missing this. So the future of Star Wars is the Avengers Star Wars Edition, because everybody's coming together. The Imperial remnant that Thrawn wants to bring back, the Empire that Thrawn wants to be in charge of, is going to be Thrawn essentially being Thanos. We are gonna have Luke, Ezra, Ahsoka, Mando, Grogu, even Boba Fett will be involved, Sabine Wren, everybody's back, and you have your side villains too with Shin Hati, Bail and Skull. I don't know what's gonna happen there, but those guys are out. Those two guys are out of that galaxy. Thrawn is in the main galaxy now. So in the main galaxy, we have Luke, Ezra right now, and we're gonna talk a lot about those two. That duo is just gonna be something special, I think, and they're just preserving those two because they have such a big connection. We talked about them in a previous video where, you know, they both met Obi-Wan, Ben Kenobi, and I could never just shake off Ezra's secret connection with Maul too. But we have a main problem, ladies and gentlemen. We have a big problem with Thrawn because, as we talked about in the previous video, he has stormtrooper zombies. He has an undead army perhaps with the witches that they're gonna revive, but essentially in movie terms, they are called fodder. We saw this in the Ahsoka Season 1, where Ahsoka, Ezra, and Sabine just went through these zombie stormtroopers pretty quickly and pretty easily. I mean, they tried to make them a challenge, but they're not. So it's a big horde that will go for the Jedi, and they will just slice them through with, you know, their lightsabers. So this is a big problem for Thrawn, because if Thrawn is this big baddie, then how does he protect himself with meaningful warriors, with somebody who can wield a lightsaber, can duel with the Jedi, and one of the best Jedi in that with Luke Skywalker and a returning Ahsoka Tano? And if Ezra Bridger comes to his former self, he was a pretty dominant guy too. So essentially what I'm saying is that Thrawn needs lightsaber duelists or / darksiders that can be his cronies, that can be the big baddies until they get to Thrawn. Well guys, I present to you the Maul clone that will come back through genetic manipulation. We already saw that with Moff Gideon. What's worse or better, I don't know which, but he will be even more powerful with magic infused by the witches. I can already see some of you rolling your eyes at me. Let me just explain one thing. The comics. I come from the comics, baby. So in the comics, you've got a Maul doppelganger, and you got a great issue where Darth Vader actually fights a Darth Maul doppelganger. He doesn't fight the real Maul, but something of that swords, and he defeats him. Now, if this exists in the comics, and whatever that story is, even though that story isn't canon, that can be used again. That can come as an inspiration. Dave Filoni has done it time and time again. He has picked up stories from the nitty-gritty from somewhere that we didn't know we expected. Dave Filoni came through and did a story of that nature. Why wouldn't he just pick up a Maul clone out of nowhere, bring him back again to fight Luke Skywalker and Ahsoka Tano? Plus, you have the Ezra Bridger connection. It all makes sense. Maul coming back just makes perfect sense. Sam Witwer coming back to Star Wars again, the fans would be happy. I don't have an idea who that person would be that would complain if Maul came back. Now, what do we know? We know one thing, that Maul's body was burned. This was confirmed by Dave Filoni, that after Ben Kenobi killed Maul on Tatooine, he took his body and burned it similar to how he burned Qui-Gon's body, a funeral of sorts, a payment of respect to his opponent. So Maul's body was burned, but this doesn't mean that they don't have a sample of Maul's horns, Maul's tissue. Somewhere, somebody must have something that they could make a clone out of Darth Maul. And Thrawn is a guy that would use this to his advantage. Let's not forget, Moff Gideon knew perfectly well that Thrawn was coming back together with the rest of the Imperial remnant. Do you remember what the armor of Moff Gideon was? Yep, with horns on his head, similar to Darth Maul. His armor was black and red. This cannot, listen to me, this cannot be a coincidence. Moff Gideon knew something that the rest of us did not. He was paying homage to Darth Maul. So was Moff Gideon on his way to clone Darth Maul to bring him back? And will Thrawn use this knowledge and actually bring Maul back, infuse him with magic through the Night Sisters, and a super powerful Maul could come to the rescue of Thrawn, stand toe-to-toe versus the Jedi? I'm asking you guys, why not? This makes perfect sense to me, and I hope this actually gets gets done. No matter how crazy it seems, it's Star Wars. Just let it go. Just do it. After what we saw in the sequels, just think about it. I am up for anything that is up for nostalgia. I've always been a fan of Darth Maul. Why would we stop now? Why would Dave Filoni just not do this? It just doesn't make any sense. And we have a special surprise for you guys because it's not just Darth Maul. It's Savage Opress as well. And here we have an even bigger argument. Savage Opress was killed on Mandalore by Palpatine, as we saw in the Clone Wars series. Maul was imprisoned by Palpatine, but we didn't saw what happened with the body of Savage Opress. So they don't need a sample of Savage Opress or anything like that. They literally have his body that they could just reanimate after his death. So you have Thrawn as your Grand Admiral, as your Emperor of this Imperial remnant, and then you have your Darth Vaders, which is Maul and Savage Opress working together similar to how they did in the Clone Wars. How is that not the most special thing you have ever seen? Going up against fierce opponents. Again, I'm gonna remind you, if Thrawn is by himself with some commanders and some Imperial generals, are you kidding me? And some Stormtrooper zombies? Who cares about Stormtrooper zombies when you have enemies like Luke Skywalker, Ezra Bridger, Ahsoka Tano, Grogu is gonna come to his own, Boba Fett, Mandalorian, Sabine Wren. There's so many powerful enemies, the Avengers of Star Wars. This is why I keep calling them that, because everybody has their special role. But in the end, it's just Thrawn, who is not a Force-sensitive being, who is not a lightsaber duelist. He uses his mind, and he's a great general. The offense wins. The defense just can't hold up against this much power. So this is why I'm making this case. Just Thrawn by himself with a couple of zombie stormtroopers and Night Sisters doesn't make sense. They need Maul and Savage Opress to come to their aid, become their cronies, they control them with their magic, and they fight the Jedi. It's pure, it's simple. And let's not forget that Darth Maul has a secret connection with everybody on the roster. So of course, if you ask me, I think that Luke will fight Darth Maul. This will be the main duel. Luke versus Maul is great because Maul killed Qui-Gon first, so Luke will have something to say about that. This gives us a great moment where perhaps Maul could mock Luke and talk about Qui-Gon, but especially Obi-Wan. So Obi-Wan has a even bigger connection with Luke through Darth Maul because Maul was Obi-Wan's main antagonist alongside Darth Vader. Maul even died at the hands of Obi-Wan, so it makes perfect sense if Luke went against Maul, two of the most powerful beings in this series, I think, going up against each other. And you can have, even the dialogue would be perfect because Maul could mock Obi-Wan, could mock Qui-Gon, and the Jedi entirely. Even talk about Anakin and Darth Vader. Kind of poke Luke and make him mad or angry, just to see that side of Luke that has still not left him. Or perhaps a moment of strong will where we can see that Maul just cannot break Luke because Luke is at that point where he is a supreme powerful Jedi that just has let go of his emotions. Then you have Savage Opress against Ahsoka. So this, in my eyes, represents sort of a Clone Wars reunion where both of these characters were first introduced in the Clone Wars, and I think that it's second tier. So Luke versus Maul and then Ahsoka versus Savage Opress would make perfect sense in my eyes. This is how I'm, grading it. I think S tier is Luke versus Maul, and then A tier is Ahsoka versus Savage Opress plus the Clone Wars connection. And then since we have a Clone Wars reunion, we can have Star Wars Rebels reunion too with Ezra and Thrawn. Of course, these two characters are very much connected with each other. In fact, it was Ezra through the space whales. He took Thrawn to that galaxy Peridia, and they just were never heard from until Ahsoka Season 1. So Thrawn and Ezra definitely have some unfinished business. Even in Ahsoka Season 1, where Sabine Wren found Ezra, Ezra and Thrawn never connected with each other again. We never saw them in live action interacting with each other. The last time these two guys spoke was in Star Wars Rebels. So these two guys definitely have unfinished business, and that unfinished business should come in the form of Ahsoka Season 2, or perhaps Dave Filoni will leave it for the Mando movie. All of these scenarios could happen in the Mando movie or Ahsoka Season 2. My fear is that the Mando movie will get much more privileges than Ahsoka Season 2, simply because Star Wars is really focused on doing the Avengers stuff. Through all of these characters that I'm mentioning. I think that's going to be their tactic moving forward. So I could be wrong, but let me know down below in the comments.